There's two things that boil my blood, and it's bullies and abusers.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable talking about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind.
You're a strong, smart, independent woman.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, were there warning signs that was it like the typical like love bombing moving into emotional abuse that becomes the physical abuse? Like,
It was formulaic. Yeah.
I want, and at any time you're not comfortable talking about this, we don't have to talk about this. But I think one of the things, this is like why women love true crime.
I've wondered because I don't like it. So tell me why they love it.
So I speak at CrimeCon every year,
Okay.
which is like Comic-Con for true crime enthusiasts. And it's 97% women.
Yeah.
And the 3% of men are there, or the 2% of men that are there are being drugged by their wives because it's like Super Bowl Sunday. And if they do this for a weekend, they can go do, whatever they want. And then I'm pretty sure like 1% of the serial killers that are trying to figure out what the new crimes are so they can get away with the crimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I am convinced that one of the reasons women love watching true crime documentaries or series is because it provides for them an insight into the pre-incident indicators that they themselves may find themselves victim to.
Mm-hmm.
Because unfortunately, the number one threat to women is men.
Yeah.
Number one threat to men is like heart disease. So I think one of the things that women enjoy learning from is, okay, and I kind of structured my book like this. It's like, what happened? How is it allowed to happen?
Mm-hmm.
How can I keep it from happening to me? So how long were you in that relationship?
It's hard to say because I would say I finally ended it about 5 years after 5 years of being together.
Okay.
But it was formulaic in the sense of when we think about sociopathic narcissistic abuse, like you can read that and look at the love the whole cycle of abuse. How did that occur to me? I had 2 other abusive partners way earlier in my life that I got rid of very quickly. And after that had dated nice gentlemanly type of men. I think with this one, I was in a different place in my life where my heart had softened a lot and I wasn't so much as an ice queen. And I think I overcorrected. And I had so much compassion and love in my heart that I thought this person just needed love from me. And then I had made a mistake. Not really. I mean, a minimal one. When we first started dating, I was dating other people and I didn't tell him.
You were dating?
I was dating.
Other people?
I know. But my fault is I didn't say, hey, I'm going out with other people. And I should have. But
I thought that's just called dating.
Well, I agree. And he clawed onto that and then used that as a way to make me feel bad and control me for a very long time. And then the physical abuse began. But I knew maybe 4 months in, I had written in my journal, I don't recognize myself anymore. And even knowing that, I tried to get out so many times and it even got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. But the neural pathways within my brain and my nervous system were so jacked up that even when I tried to leave and I would be gone for a few weeks or a month or 2 months, I would eventually get scooped back in.
Right.
It's very addicting. And then it also played into childhood trauma, right? So I think it was from a spiritual angle. I think that I intentionally went into that dynamic a vessel for me to heal other aspects of my being. And when I chose to no longer be a victim in that relationship and start looking at myself as a victor, that then enabled me to use all of the skill sets that I had acquired that from him telling me I was crazy, that I was the problem, etc. So I put myself through all the therapies, anger management, had a spiritual teacher helping me, reading books and courses. So I used all of those resources that I had and my victor mindset to grow and claw myself out of the pit that we had collectively dug together, and that enabled me to leave. But I think the final straw was when he started abusing an animal that he had gotten for us. And the animal was starting to act exactly how I had been. When you torture and torture and torture a dog, eventually it's going to bite you. He would torture and torture and torture and torture me, and then I'd freak out, and then he would point at me and say, look, see, you're the psycho, you're crazy. And I knew the whole time that wasn't true, but then I was always trying to show him, no, I'm not crazy. I'm actually a kind, loving person. I'm going to prove it. But when the animal thing happened, I was like, this person is never going to change. There's nothing I can do. I need to get out of here. And I did. And I haven't looked back.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking back is, if you can leave it in the past, it should stay there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was the childhood trauma that you felt trauma bonded you to
Sure.
accepting that kind of,
Yeah, it's typical.
because there's that we accept the love we think we deserve.
Yeah. Well, which is interesting because, well, first to answer your question, uh, came from father, very similar energetically, emotionally to this man I ended up in a
Mhm.
relationship with. Not all the same, but very similar. But I think where the pattern shifted for me, because I married a wonderful human, dated really great, caring, successful, like nice men. But then I had an experience and then I moved to Miami. And like in Miami, men don't really treat you of value. So I think I was being primed to
Mhm.
then like, I had less value, less value, less value. Sounds odd, but it was over time. And I was softening my heart, being less of an ice queen. And they say like men love bitches. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seemed to have been the truth.
Men love women who aren't afraid to be disagreeable.
Right. Right. So I have become too agreeable, too soft, and too amenable to him or to anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
When you were married
Mm-hmm.
to the nice guy,
Yeah.
at that point, had like the dopamine regulation been so augmented that that almost felt boring?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was very boring. He was I mean, he's not a boring person.
No, but
Yeah.
like I had the same experience. It's like I
Sure.
had childhood trauma, I had
Mm-hmm.
PTSD. So it was like I was always in these like trauma bonding toxic dynamics where
Mm-hmm.
it was like if we weren't fucking, we were fighting.
Yeah.
And it was like as soon as I can't tell you how many vacations we went on
Mm-hmm.
where like on the last night of vacation it would be a fight.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it'd be like this miserable, the whole ride coming home would
Mm-hmm.
be a,
Uh-huh.
and then you get home and then it's like, then you make up and it's like, and it's just this vicious cycle.
Whew. Yeah. 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 I mean, your body's literally addicted to those chemicals moving through
Yeah.
it.
And you really can't enjoy like the high times because you're just waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Precisely. Yes. Yeah.
I know I went to a lot of therapy. How, when you finally decided to leave
Yeah.
and you started on that, that like sacred journey of self-healing,
Mm-hmm.
is that when more of like the primal sexual?
No. Came online.
Yeah.
No. Actually, I discovered like my sex magic before I even met him. And I was actually engaging in it and teaching him and doing things with him.
Can we just, when did that come online?
Uh
Miami-ish?
when I was in Miami.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you remember what that pivot point was?
Um no, I think there's nothing specific that stood out. Like I hadn't used psychedelics at that point in my life. I was just meditating like I always do and using visualizations, and
Like manifesting?
that's when I started to feel God come into my body when I was self-pleasuring. Yeah, but the self-healing journey, I'd started reading books like self-development books at age 20. So I'd always been on this path, but it was in the last relationship, hard to pinpoint, but going deep into the shadowiest parts of my being, and then having someone also say that there's super dark, scary, and untrue things about me, but exploring all of that darkness, that was the real journey. I feel like most of my life I was spiritually bypassing. I was only trying to stay like love and light up here, which is where we want to be, but not go to the fucking depths, the murkiest areas, and come back up renewed. And that's where that relationship took me. And I don't know, hundreds of hours of therapy throughout my time being with him. I was always trying to figure out what was wrong when I was with him.